and welcome to episode 46 of Chapter 1. We're already off topic. 3 women, 1 podcast, endless pages, pastries, and plot twists. We love an alliteration. I'm Mary.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Elizabeth.
And this week we are discussing chapters 21 through 40 of Webs of Vows and Vengeance. But before we get started, what are we having to eat?
Chick-fil-A.
We're having a lot.
Chicky nuggies. Fruit, fries, also donuts.
Chocolate covered pretzels, and she got me a milkshake.
She's got a chalky milkshake.
She texted me and she was like, "What can I get you from Chick-fil-A? Do you want a chalky milkshake?" I was like, "Yes."
Apparently that's going to be the theme of this pregnancy. It's chocolate milkshakes.
She said that. I was like, I wouldn't turn one down. Where did we start? It was 31, right? No,
21.
21.
For those tuning in, Catherine has already finished the book.
Catherine's what?
Already finished the book.
Yeah, y'all, insomnia hit me last night, and I did really good, and I stopped where I was supposed to stop. And then I couldn't go to sleep until like 2 a.m. So I was like, well, I guess while I'm here, let me just keep reading. And I did. And boy, I did. And I finished it. And I've already started the second one. Because for those who are following along, once you finish, you're going to want to start the second one right away. Because you're going to be pretty pissed off. Spoiler alert, you're going to be angry.
I'm doing I think they called it a chocolate shortcake. I don't know, I got it from the store. I didn't have time to bake.
You said chocolate shortcake?
Huh?
That's yummy.
Yeah.
Dang, you must like it. You're about done with it.
Well, I've been eating on it for 3 days.
Is
I
it
do
still
really
good?
like it, but it was ginormous. So
I was getting ready to say, I'm surprised because you usually don't like fly through a dessert. So I was over here like, dang, that must be like the best shortcake ever.
no, I got back Monday and Chuck and I had dinner, but we had there was apparently when he went to the store, normally he's a big snack buyer. And he bought 0 snacks. There was not a snack to be held in this house. And I was like, we don't even have any chocolate. I'm like, can we go get a dessert? My prescription was ready anyway, so I was like, I gotta go pick up my prescription, and then we could maybe get a dessert.
Crap, I still haven't picked up my inhaler from Sam's. Well, anyway.
And then I'm just doing a green tea. I don't know why I was craving green tea.
I love a green tea. Yeah, I love like a raspberry green tea or a pomegranate green tea.
This is like a cherry blossom green tea. But it doesn't taste flowery. It doesn't taste floral. I don't know what it tastes like. It's just like a little sweeter than a regular green tea.
If it's a green tea and it's pink, I want it. The pink ones are always the good ones.
All right, let's get rolling. So we left off last week once again on a cliffhanger because I don't even look through these chapters when I pick which chapter to end on. I just do the math for the most part. So they're always an oops. But another cliffhanger. Jai had died after his blood offering, and then Rose's name was called to go next. And then, we just end. We, don't.
Crap.
Yeah,
that's what... am. Okay.
That's where we're at.
That's where we started. Yeah, because we're only 50% now.
Yeah.
So, in chapter 21, we open to Rose going through the ceremony and being stabbed by that dagger. But unlike Jai, not only does she walk away, but she, walks away pretty unscathed. Not even really any blood or anything. And so as the ceremony goes on, 2 other people die. The chick with the touchy blister thing dies. And then some other knight who I didn't even remember. So apparently it wasn't important.
The touchy blister thing.
And then, so it's interesting that they're tears. They go through that first offering, to even get into the Redder Held. And all of those people were accepted. And then, now you have, varying degrees of acceptance. I don't get it.
I don't think this is a big spoiler, but you do end up seeing Etta at some point, which, that's given. They tell you that at the end. That, the idea, right, is you're getting this gifting from her, so reasonably you're going to see her. And
I actually didn't put that together. I just assumed it was you prayed to her and then you got it.
Yeah,
I didn't really think you'd see her.
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Okay.
Not in a traditional sense, but you do.
Okay.
And she kind of explains that. So there will be some sort of an explanation for that. And I actually felt it made a lot of sense.
Okay, well that's good, because all along here, I'm like, why? What is happening?
I actually really liked her explanation for it. I was like, it's very, I don't know. Which, granted, she's a goddess, so I guess she would be, smart. But I was like, that is very wise.
Well, that answers that, because I was like, well, do we think more is at play with what's going on with these offerings? So yes, that makes sense.
It's not anything super crazy, but it is a cool explanation.
Okay. So after the ceremony, they discuss Coulter with Benny, promising to wait for him and give him the life he deserves after. And I know we discussed last week, Benny and the Eastern Isle theories. And Once again, I'm like, I mean, everything with Benny just ends up making me think like there's just got to be more going on behind Benny's eyes. Like something's there. Catherine's like, there is. I can't tell you, but there is.
Again, it's nothing like insane, but it is something.
So despite everything that has happened and like all the sadness and like whatnot, during the ceremony, Rose ends up spotting her sister Kay, who's in the spectator stands. So she's actually kind of leaves on an upper because she's like, I think she's safe and probably with Jonas's father. So like, good news, right? And then Jonas mentions them all going to the healer to see about their wounds on their hands afterwards. But when everybody is like looking at their wounds, like everybody else's is like a pretty nasty mark on their hand, and hers is like basically healed already. Like there's nothing there. It's just like a faint line. And does that play into that explanation we get from Etta, or is it just like or is there something more to Rose that we don't know?
So what I mean by that is like that we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, because I'm scared that I might give a spoiler if I do too much explaining.
Okay, that's fair. So Rose remembers there's a library and wants to go get more information on the dagger that she's got because, again, you know, it's described as being the twin as the one the priestess used in this ceremony. So she's going in search of how to find the library, and she decides that, you know who always knows? Staff, right? Like they're going to give up the goods. She's like, I'm going to go to the kitchen. And they would probably be more willing to tell her than like, say, like a noble or any of the others there. So when she gets down there, she finds Kior like very much not being Kior, you know, like he's like laughing and relaxed. And the workers seem really like relaxed with him and just kind of like laughing along with him. And then they actually defer to him when she asks about the library. And he's like, I'll handle this. And he like takes her out of the kitchen. And he insinuates that the library is not going to help her in the trials because he thinks that's what she's going down there for. But he does end up giving her directions that it's like you have to go through the guard's temple to get there. So in chapter 22, inside the temple, she comes across Commander Zell, who was in there like praying. And he speaks to her about her parents and that he hopes to see her in the battle yard and offers her kind of like some one-on-one private training alone if she'll like agree to meet him early in the morning, and then ends up giving her further directions into the library. And he also calls her Lady, I'm going to screw up her last name. I've been calling her Cultivaris. So
I've been saying Cultivaris, either one.
Okay. Which I think says a lot about how he views her and what happened to her family, that he still considers her a lady, even though she's been stripped of her magic and then like banished to the slums.
I love Zell.
I'm far enough along to be sad.
Me too.
Oh, do we not find out about that in this set of chapters?
No, it's right
It's
before.
one chapter
It's
after.
literally right before. We end right before.
Yeah.
Like,
It's horrible.
so in the library, she meets Caroline, who is working as a scribe and writing an elderly man's story he is reciting. And we are led to believe it's the rantings of a crazy old man. But 100%, I feel like the story that he's telling is going to come back, and it's important.
Same.
So if anybody on page 144 would like to read said story that he recites.
In the days after the great goddess Etara created the world, she birthed her 6 children, but the world was too big and lonely for the 6 of them alone. And so they created man. The gods decided that the humans would have a share of their powers and distributed them among them, gifted for one life only to be returned to the gods via martyrdom upon death, and bestowed upon another at birth. But only 6 of the 7 gods agreed to this. Sanrot, god of land and sea, was angered by his siblings and mother's choice, and as the centuries passed and his bitterness grew, he began stealing the magic back. The Sannings were the most isolated and nomadic of the humans, marked as different with their pale skin, pale blonde hair, and peridot eyes. Their lives were so hidden in the forest that even the gods did not notice what Sanrot was doing until it was too late and he had stripped the Sannings of their powers entirely. Is that it? It is. That is it.
Okay. Do we get that in this story, or is it gonna
You see this guy again, but he's still trying to
recite the story?
Yeah, but my assumption is we'll see him in the second book, because I mean they're taking enough time to do it.
It's got to come back up.
It's got to come back.
It's gonna come back.
And it makes
see
sense.
him
I mean,
again,
like they have power, so it's obvious that means that like all those are the powers of the gods that they've gifted little bits to the people. And you have these strippings of power that are happening. So like, also she's pale haired, and I don't know.
Pale haired because she had brown hair,
Did she? And then she got stripped, so it's pale.
Yeah, which is why What's-Her-Face is stripped, and then, we haven't met her yet. There's someone else that also got stripped of power that also has pale hair. Apparently that just happens when...
Interesting.
A sense of theme.
But if you think about it, he stripped those people of their power. They already had pale hair. Could it be like I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but there's obviously a connection. I feel like, why mention the pale hair, and then when you lose your magic, you suddenly have pale hair? Does that make sense? I feel like there's gotta be something to that.
Like, it's gonna circle back at some point, surely.
Not in this book, but maybe later.
Eager for some kind of an excuse to take a break from what she thinks is kind of just like the ravings of a madman, Caroline offers to help Rose, and it's revealed that she's also from the Eastern Isles, and she asks if she knows any of the other Retlings from the Isles, and if there's news of them. But Rose is kind of hesitant because, like, her news ain't great, right? You got Coulter, you got Jai, you got, I wrote it down somewhere in here, but it comes up later, the kid right away that was killed as a runt, by Zara.
Like Sunara or Suarna. It started with an S.
Yeah, it did start with an S. And so, Rose is like kind of hesitant to say anything too much in case that's someone she knows and she doesn't want to bring her bad news. And Caroline kind of sees that and quickly backtracks and is like, never mind, I don't want to know. And so in chapter 23, she's armed with several books with the help of Caroline. She's got books on weapons and ceremonial weapons, and then she got one on the Retterheld, which, I don't know, do those books ever come in handy? Because, like, as far as where I'm at, they have not been useful.
No book at all. Well,
good to know. Good to know. Apparently the library was just for Caroline.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute. She does find out what the dagger is called.
Okay.
But does not find out what it does.
Okay. So Rose she goes back, to the hold, and Jonas ends up finding her and confirms that his father has brought her sister and that her sister is safe. And then Rose decides to then train with Jonas in the meantime until she can meet up with Zell. And when she's not training with Zell, she needs someone to train with. So she begins training with Jonas. And she goes to grab a sword to start and can't even lift it. She says it wouldn't even budge. Only for Kior to just show up behind her and just grab it like it didn't weigh anything. And during her training with Jonas, she's quickly humbled because she's like, surely it won't be that bad. I used to train when I was a child. 14 years ago. That's me doing the insanity workouts right now. It's like, oh, I'll be fine. I did this whole series before. How bad can it be? It's bad, folks. Don't do it. But yeah,
you said you were doing that. I'm like, it's literally called insanity. It's the name of it.
You have seriously insane fit people giving out in the video. I will say even they can't keep up.
It is motivating to me to see though that these insanely fit people are struggle busing as well. They're not just
built cut people are one to pass out.
So when I'm over here feeling like I want to vomit doing the modified exercises, I'm like, you know what? We're the same. Just me and you just struggling through as they're giving 110%.
I was going to vomit just walking around my neighborhood yesterday.
I will say there's this one girl on there though, and she's like, if you can't do one more, then do 3. And I'm like, girl, no.
I can't with people like that. I'm sorry.
Was it Tanya, the one that's smiling through her pain the entire time?
Wait, so you've done the insanity workout?
Yeah. Huh? It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. Years.
Well, you remember Tanya.
I remember Tanya.
She's very famous.
She's very famous.
She did.
I thought insanity was that dude.
It is. It's Shanti.
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 He's great.
He is great.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's probably, as much as you kind of want to punch him through most of it, he's somehow
very motivating.
Well, he's motivating, but he's also really good about just in very quick, simple ways, keeping your form correct. And despite him motivating you to keep going, he also always is telling you, check your heart rate, be sure you're recovering, make sure your form is there. If your form's not there, quit. Otherwise, you're going to get injured. He's really good.
But also push through.
Yeah. He does a good balance of the two, which is, I think, is sometimes hard to do.
But dig deep correctly.
Yeah, basically. Do it, but do it right. Very military. So as she's training, she's quickly humbled and is like, she doesn't remember much as far as her like actual training and like the footwork. And then she's super out of shape. So not only does she have no magic, but she's also like super behind everybody else. Physically, she is not at the top of the leaderboard. She is not at the top of the dance pyramid for Abby Lee Miller. So back at the dining hall, Rose admits to the others that she got some books from the library. And Lynn is excited because she's like, books, I want to go to the library too. So Rose mentions, she's like, yeah, I gotta go meet Caroline down there anyways, like you could come with. And Lynn's like, wait a minute. She's like, describe this Caroline in great detail. And that makes Rose realize that Caroline nicknamed Kaz, and that's Lynn's little...
How do you get the nickname Kaz from Caroline?
I don't know. I did not feel like those went together. Like maybe Care, maybe like Lana. I don't know.
I didn't get Kaz. There's no S even. Like they do it with a Z, but I'm like, there's no S. There's no S.
Like, honest mistake. Because Rose kind of beats herself up about like that she missed this. And I'm like, how could you have
Caroline, Kaz? And I'm like, I would not have.
I'm like, I wouldn't have put that together. Not even a little bit.
Not even.
In chapter 24, Rose takes Lynn to the library where she is reunited with Caroline/Kaz. And Benny and Rose end up leaving to give them some privacy. And they end up going to train, which we've learned through this that Benny took over for Jonas because in training, Jonas was like, Jonas is not doing you any favors. Like he was holding back with her. And basically, Benny's like, dude's gonna get you killed. Like, this ain't the way. Which was giving, again, very Dane Atos.
Mm-hmm.
Jonas?
Very so much, yes.
Jonas, and I'll say this, Jonas does not change. Jonas does not get better. Jonas gets worse. And I felt like I was giving him the benefit of the doubt throughout a lot of it. And then eventually I was like, that's enough for me.
Okay. Yeah, because through this, I keep going back and forth. I'm like, is he just genuinely like a doofus? Like, is he, in fact, I think at some point I put, is he fucking stupid? Like, is he just dumb? Like, I don't get it. Like, he does.
I think he genuinely does have care for her.
Okay.
I do think that.
Because that's the other thing is I was like, does he care for her or is this like all a lie? Because he's just sort of dumb. Like at times.
I do think he really cares for her, but he has made a lot of really, really big mistakes, and just because you care someone doesn't negate that. Like he talks down to her a lot, despite, I mean, y'all are gonna see it. I mean, God, you're just gonna continue to be annoyed with him. To be honest, Benny is the only male by the end of this book that I was like, you're still cool with me. Like,
so Benny does end up like, he kicks her ass. He invites others to come kick her ass repeatedly to show her that like, hey, he is not doing a good enough job. But then his style of training after that is a little different because what they end up doing is they go perch on the wall of the battlegrounds and they watch the others train. And Benny uses that sight, magic that he has. And they pick apart weaknesses and create strategies for each and every other Retling there. Because I think in a way, Benny knows that those are probably some of her biggest risks and obstacles is some of these other Retlings. So he's trying to help her in the best way he can in the limited amount of time that they have.
Have we seen in this set of chapters how annoyed he gets by Grenda?
We only see
no, in fact, Grenda is like, doesn't show up a ton, and when she does, I like her a lot.
Yeah,
we like Grenda, but we can't figure out Grenda because she never uses her magic.
When she does join them, she's just like, all right, we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way or whatever. And he's like waiting to look and see what she does, but whatever it is, it's not overtly like obvious. Like she's just fighting. It looks like she's just fighting.
Do we learn about the Raven? No.
Thinking about it, I was like, what if the Raven is just a Raven? But at the same time, I'm like, I feel like
it keeps coming back.
Somebody.
I feel like it's going to be a thing, but
there's a lot of symbolism for it too throughout that I've caught now.
She does end up wearing a dress at one point that she feels makes her look like a raven.
Yeah,
that's in this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's like the only.
I don't like it that it keeps popping up.
I mean, unless to be fair, I was reading this in the middle of the night,
Raven,
so maybe I missed something.
We don't know her power.
We don't know her sister's power.
We don't know her power,
and you still don't know by the end of it. By the way,
maybe her sister's the Raven.
But her
sister.
They're stripped of power.
Her sister is annoying
as
crap.
True.
Yeah. Her sister is annoying as crap.
I've only really kind of just met her, and she was young and flighty, but she wasn't.
Yeah.
She's a child, 18. And she continues to act like a child.
We meet her sister at the ball.
Yeah. So they go up these walls each time, and they're studying the other ones. And as Rose comes back down the wall one of the times, she spots tally marks carved into the wall with a knife, and there's like hundreds of them, and she's kind of wondering what those represent, which, you clock those because they come back up later. So Kior ends up going to Zell for a training fight, and Zell tells him that he's like, I think I'm going to be training Rose right now. I think Rose was looking for a training session. But Rose lets Kior fight him first. And watching him fight, she calls Benny over, and she's like, please tell me you can find a weakness somewhere, because it's clear that while Zell is this exceptional fighter, and commander, that Kior is even better and eventually bests him. And as they're kind of jiving back and forth at each other afterwards, he tells Zell, like, well, I had a good teacher about, why he's so good. So, and then Zara afterwards approaches Kior and, like, in this really sycophantic way, asks him to train her. It was, like, so gross. She's like, my humble highness, I would be ever so in your favor if you would train me. And I'm just like, girl, you're the worst. I hate you so much.
She is the worst.
She doesn't get a redemption arc, I'm assuming, by the end of the book. She had like one sliver of a moment where I was like, is there a human being deep down inside of there?
No, she's the worst up until the very end.
Till the very end. Okay. So, and Kior asks her if she's the one that's culling all the runs, which she proudly confirms that is her. And I think she thinks he's going to be like proud of like, yeah, I want to help that. Like, I love this. And he's immediately, obviously, not thrilled with it. And he turns to Rose and says he would rather train Rose than Zara, which he knows Zara hates Rose. So it's like the worst putting down of her ever. It was like the best thing he could have said. And then in chapter 25, Rose goes the next morning to train with Zell. But who's there too? Prince Kior.
I was like, Kior.
And Rose goes to leave thinking she's just interrupted their training, but Zell assures her that Kior's there to help. And they go through the training with Zell instructing and Kior correcting her footwork, which conveniently has him having to put his hands on her quite a bit to correct her form.
Giving like, this is how you swing a golf club.
Or the archery, like in The Princess Diaries 2.
Oh, that's a good one.
So when Rose asks why he's helping, Kior says that Zell bet him that he couldn't make a decent fighter out of her, which he took as a challenge, and he was bored, which we learn later is a lie.
That's right.
Which I kind of, at first I was like, oh, look at Zell playing him. And then I was like, as the chapters went on, I was like, I think that is not the case. I think he is doing this entirely on his own.
I don't know what, and I don't know what.
So Rose starts getting some conflicted feelings because despite her hate for that man, she also knows that he's actually helping her and her chances. And she's starting to feel a little bit more confident with the training that she might actually stand some sort of chance throughout this. So throughout that next week, she's training, she's reading, and apparently she's been dealing with Holden, who's being a total asshole to her. And Linos offers up her spare bed because now Jai and Coulter, of course, no longer with them, and figures that, kind of explains, oh, well, it's like safer in numbers, whatever. And when she doesn't agree right away, Benny and Linos ask her if it's because, like, oh, she's, spending she needs some alone time with Jonas, and kind of hint at their obvious tension between the two of them and wondering if they are more than just friends. But Jonas has actually never made a move at this point past just friendliness, and she's given him openings and he's just not taken them, I guess. So in the dining room, Serene, which is that older crazy lady that I mentioned that we should clock last week because she had that illusion power, which is pretty powerful. She causes a commotion in the dining room, screaming out, "They told me to warn you. They told me to make you see," before her illusion magic takes over and turns the dining room into a forest. And she's apparently had this happen a few times now, and the very first time it happened, everyone freaked out thinking it was the start of the first trial. And one of the other Rentlings from that same area, Kestria, often is like the one who comes and like stays close to her and helps out when she can, and is apparently kind of bonded a little bit with Serene. So Locke
I don't know what the heck has happened to Locke.
So we learn, I don't know either, but like we know that Locke has the hearing, and here coming up soon, we're going to learn like he can hear some shit that like maybe he's not supposed to be hearing. Do we think he can hear the gods? Like what is?
I don't know. I don't know.
What is
'cause
Serene hearing? Because she's
he
also
seemed
apparently
fine,
hearing
just
some stuff.
quiet, and then like out of nowhere, he's just like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and I'm like,
Right. Well, and at first I was like, okay, even on the reread, I'm like, because the first read through, I'm like, what is going on with Locke? What is he hearing? But then on the reread, I'm like, oh, he heard the giants and then was just freaking out because he couldn't hear them. And he's like, how could they have done something to these giants? But even then, later with him acting, I'm like, he heard something else. There's got to be more to it. Anyway, it doesn't go. She's just laying
Not
Easter
anything.
eggs, and we're just gonna wait 4 books to figure them out. Apparently,
there's so many things where I'm like, can we get an answer eventually?
so that night they wake to Belle signaling the start of the first trial. And Jonas apparently went to find her and looked for her in Linos and Benny's room and is upset that she wasn't there because apparently he went to Linos behind her back and told her to ask her to move in, which once again has irritated our homegirl because she is tired. He hasn't even begun to micromanage her and she's already sick of his shit micromanaging her. So I'm like, girl, it has just begun. And then in chapter 26, they get into these carriages to take them to the trial. And Rose frets that it might be a water trial, which historically there's at least one of those. And apparently another disadvantage for her because, of course, our girl can also not swim. I'm just like...
At least not well.
like-
It seems like she's... Because I was like, can she not swim? But she basically, when she's described it, I mean, unless I'm wrong,
She can swim.
it
just
came across as
not
like,
as
I'm a
strong.
weak swimmer.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like if I had to swim across a thing, I couldn't do it.
Or in bad, if there's like heavy waves or
Waves
something.
or
Right.
like
She's probably
something.
like me. I can float and I can do some basic strokes, but not well or with any sort of form or talent other than to just get me from point A to point B. But if there was ever an emergency, I would prefer to have a floaty.
Yeah.
Like I'm going down with the ship. Like I'm not gonna do well.
Yeah. I was gonna say something, but I don't.
I'm assuming we do eventually get a water trial.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you this. It was not what I expected from a water trial. You got the most random of creatures just plopped in there that I was like, okay. Like, I've heard of it. You know,
There's been a lot of kind of, I don't know, it's been an interesting combination of these fantasy elements that don't necessarily, like, we got trials, we got dire wolves, we got magic, now we're getting ready to have some giants.
Love it.
love it. Like, I'm so here for
Like,
it.
it's different.
Too, I'm loving all of it, but I'm like, girl just like had a bag, I swear, and she was just like, you know what are we putting in next?
It was like she was like rolling dice, you know. Like I feel like with each trial, there's something so vastly different from the previous one. Like it's so interesting and cool, but like it always like there was never a time where I felt like that makes sense as to where. You know what I mean? Like none of them build on the other. They're so different and individual. Super cool. I like it.
Benny ends up reminding them that no matter what they encounter when they get there, that they're going to work together. And Rose offers that if she becomes a burden, to just drop her and she would completely understand, which everyone vehemently opposes. And I'm like, girl, pick the right found family to have.
Yeah.
Jonas offers to let her sleep on his shoulder until they arrive, which apparently is some sort of, in his mind, is an apology for what he has done. And when she wakes, Benny and Jonas are arguing over what direction they are heading. And Locke eventually chimes in with his hearing and says, it doesn't make sense. I should be able to hear them. They've done something to them. So you get that like first little bit. And again, this is where I was like, oh. Afterwards, I'm like, okay, he couldn't hear, because they like froze the giants until the trial actually fully began. And I was like, maybe it's that. But then I was like, I don't know. He's just so off his, like, he just kind of goes catatonic after this trial where I'm like, what happened to Locke? And he apparently keeps muttering in the dorm rooms for like all the way up until he disappears. So I'm like, what is he hearing? Like, what is the boy hearing?
So he does disappear in this set of chapters.
Yes. Because he disappears after the second trial.
But then he shows back up.
Wait, what?
Locke.
He did? Did I miss it?
He was with Siren at one point.
I know. I loved that they were like
And he
they're
was,
the
he was
weird
in the
end
second
of the table.
trial. He was.
No, that's what I'm saying. He disappears in the second trial.
Oh, I thought she said the first. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
no.
he's
fine after. I mean, he's not fine, but
Yeah, we don't know what happened though. We don't know if he just didn't win or if he died.
yeah, we don't know.
Which is interesting. It makes you wonder if he'll come back later.
I'm hoping he does.
I bet you he does.
with some kind of like, he knows
Clarity.
all.
He, yeah, because he says in here in his little mutterings, he's like, not only why can't I hear them, but then they must be lying.
Yeah.
Who's they and what
Locke's
are they
got some
lying
kind of
about?
inside track to something. I just don't know what.
They've done something to them. Yeah, I don't know.
So once they arrive, Jonas pulls her back into the carriage for a moment alone and tries to make her promise not to take any risks and to basically let others die for her to keep her safe, which only furthers to piss off Rose because she's like, you want my friends to die and me to just hide. She's like, does
He's
that look
like,
like
yeah.
something I will do?
He's like, I think that sounds like a great plan.
He also keeps hinting that there's a lot he needs to tell her.
Yeah, he knows something. And he's meant to tell her at the ball and didn't get around to do that either. So
Yeah, multiple
don't
times he keeps saying we need to have this conversation. We need to, and I'm like, what is this conversation?
but he won't do it with other people around.
Is he wanting to propose to her? Because later I did get that vibe.
The big conversation, if I'm not mistaken, because I've started the second book. It happens in the second book. At the
Oh my
very,
God, you don't even get the conversation in this one.
It happens at the very beginning of the second book, and it's gonna totally
Do we get Spice in this book? Just out of curiosity.
spice. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I'm assuming with Kior, not Jonas.
You would be correct.
Okay. I'm like, because it's slow burning. I mean,
Is that
like,
what makes us mad?
so Jonas ends up kissing her, but is interrupted by Linos, who tells them they need to see what they've arrived to, which I'm going to mention. I think we get 2 kisses with Jonas.
We
in
do.
This one's pretty awkward.
They
And
both
then
seem pretty awkward.
Yeah, but at no point, like, I know when she first saw Jonas, she was like, oh, you're kind of hot. And like, I used to know you as a kid and was like, you could pass some time. But none of their physical interactions have been like, do you, from her perspective, feel anything? You get more with Kior, just like him, like yelling at her about her footwork, than you do with anything with Jonas. So in chapter 27, they're at the beach and standing on the sand are what's called, I'm also going to mess this up because it even has like fancy symbols over the letters. Jantor?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm like, thoughts? But they are like basically these 30-foot tall giants. I will not be, I just substitute that with giants. That's what we're going with the rest of this section.
I will say though, I feel like the way that this scene is described, they're almost bigger than 30 feet. Well, the one that she does is bigger than 30 feet.
Yes,
She said
because
it's
he's
like-
the tallest.
Yeah, because like, what do you mean he can't tell that she's standing on his waistband? Do you know what I mean? Like that's a big dude. I mean,
30,
not that
30
40
feet. 30 feet would be like 3 stories, like a 3-story building.
Okay.
If you think like 10 foot, like this has 10-foot ceilings and these ceilings are really tall.
Maybe she's like, I'm like, we don't. Know
I
how
wouldn't
to-
want to fall from 10 feet. So like, I feel like.
No. No, just the fact that like she's described almost as like, or it's described almost like he doesn't even recognize that she's
On
Climbing
him.
climbing him, and I was just like, that reminds me of.
Well,
like,
I think they're also kind of like, you know, like Michelin Manny, you know, like round.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, 30 feet is huge, and 40 feet is huge. I'm not trying to be like, you know what, they should have made him taller. But, like, I was just like, the way it almost is, I was like, I'm picturing her like she's like this little ant.
just trying to get up there. Like a chipmunk up a tree.
Yeah, and I'm like, but that's not true, because, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, sorry.
So everyone, even the other Retlings that are there, like even the brave ones and everybody else, they all look panicked, except when she finds Kior, who's standing off by himself and has not made any alliances, which she was kind of surprised by. And he doesn't look afraid. He just looks kind of confused by what is going on. And she sees him kick his shoes off and put his bare feet in the sand. Because at this point, remember, they don't know his magic yet either, because he hasn't used it. And Estelle comes over, seeing her watching the prince. And Estelle mentions that she hopes the giants crush him, revealing that she also sort of has a grudge against Sir Prince Kior. And so a priestess joins them, announcing that they are to try and survive 30 minutes in order to pass and get on to the next trial. And there's a bonus to anyone who brings down a giant, and they'll be immediately removed from the trial and kept safe and excused from the second trial as a reward. So of course, like, everybody's keen to bring one of these suckers down. But Benny reminds them that the alliance holds even with that announcement, and that they do everything together. And if someone wins, someone wins. Like, he doesn't care, but they're going to work together. But then chaos breaks loose, and they eventually decide they need to pick a giant to try to take down. And Jonas and Benny argue about which one that is. Jonas wants one with like a scar, and Benny wants the super tall one. And Jonas is like, that one's huge. We don't want that one. Why would we go for the biggest one? And Benny's like, trust me, bro. I see some shit. And everybody's like, trust Benny. So they do eventually convince him to go along with Benny's choice. And Estelle ends up joining them, an unlikely ally after she was kind of shitty with her in the other carriage to the blood.
Estelle just doesn't like anybody.
Yeah,
I guess. Like,
she's
okay.
just a grumpy girl. You know, but she ends up joining them as well, and everyone's just kind of trying everything they can. They're using magic, they're stabbing it, and honestly, everything they're doing just seems to be not really doing any damage and only pissing it off further. So she spots Kiora battling a giant alone using his magic, which is a storm, which we talked about. Remember, we talked about those tattoos. Do we get anything with the tattoo people? I mean, we do. I know we get them a little bit. Actually, I know we do get them.
I was going to say.
With the
do.
We do get a rebellion, folks.
Midge.
But do we get anything with other than the tattoos tie the rebellion together? Do we get anything about if Kiora has any part of that or who else is involved in it? No. Okay. She really gonna make us wait for the important
It's 4
questions.
books.
So everyone's trying to get Jonas to stop using his magic because it seems to be making everything worse. And he's arguing that I'm helping. Just as the beast sweeps his arm out and ends up slashing Jonas's thigh, which I was like, karma for not listening.
Jonas has like the worst power.
I don't think his power's bad. He's just...
Okay, how about this? In every situation
he makes
that
things
he uses
worse.
It never helps. It only makes it worse.
But
there's not a time where you're like, that was a good use of that.
Good job,
like,
Jonas. Thank goodness for Jonas. But so then that arm sweeping also ends up hitting Estelle full on, crushing her, sending her flying through the air until she lands and then is dead. So
She did.
bye, Estelle.
I guess we'll never know
Yeah.
how that could have
So much for
panned
that
out.
friendship.
R.I.P. Estelle. Jonas then tries to get Rose to save herself, and Rose is like, no. And
In
she's...
fact, I'm going to do the opposite.
Yeah, she's like, in fact, let me do the most dangerous thing I can think of, which is climb the thing. Because that's the only way. Again, she has no magic, and she's not really that handy with any of the weaponry yet. So she's like, I'm really good at climbing, and it just looks like a moving building. So, like, I can handle it.
Use your strengths, girl.
And then in chapter 28, Rose yells for everyone to use whatever they can, magic weapons, whatever, to distract it as she climbs it because she doesn't want him to like try to swipe her off because she knows that'll kill her. So once she makes it all the way up into his neck, she ends up stabbing him in his jugular and then like slices his throat, and blood is pouring out of him and he's kind of flailing and stumbling. And she's like, he's going to go down and he's going to go down with me and then he's going to crush me. So I need to jump. And so she ends up having to jump off and relies on Linos's wind magic to save her, kind of like poof her all the way down in a gentle cloud of wind. And as she's going down, Benny is continuing to stab the giant, repeatedly until it goes down. And once it crashes, it almost crashes on top of Rose. And Jonas ends up having to tackle her and save her, but is also bitching at her at like the same time about taking a risk and, but as mad as she wants to be about him yelling at her, she's also sees that he's in pain from his thigh and that he did like run with this injury and like save her. So she's trying to like give him the benefit of the doubt. And then another giant ends up coming in and trying to attack them. And so they are attempting to try to move it into the water because they're like, we can't take another one of these suckers down. But everyone's magic is waning and they're losing ground and they're like worried about being able to survive it just as the time runs out and the trial ends. But as the trial ends, they're like, where the hell is Benny? And then chapter 29, after the trial ends, up on the platform is the priestess with Kior, who has brought down a giant, Grenda, who has apparently brought down a giant, Morial, Galric Retling, and then Benny, who is all awarded, that they get to
like
the immunity from the second trial.
I kind of thought that was crap.
I thought so too. I'm like, that seems like a shady practice.
Well,
the whole point is that you have to like get through these trials.
But not just that, which granted, no one was upset about it, and I wasn't even upset at Benny because Benny felt really bad about it.
Well, to be fair, though, he delivered the blow. I mean,
but I feel like the giant would have died.
From
what he
wound.
was doing wouldn't have killed the giant on its own.
Right.
Like it was
a team effort.
Said that. Like her jugular stab was what was going to kill the giant.
Within 30 minutes?
I mean, the idea was that he was going down. Because he was just stabbing him like in the... Where was he even stabbing him?
In the gut.
I think he sliced his like leg, like his like ankles and legs, and then
He was
he moved up to the
crawled
to his stomach and was like doing some pretty heavy jabs to the stomach.
I don't know. Because he even told her that he felt
But all
guilty
I can think of is like a little toothpick, you know, because it's a huge giant. So he's just like toothpicking it.
But, you know, like I said, she didn't get mad. He felt guilty. Like, it all worked out.
Yeah.
But
I think
I was like...
he felt guilty, but at the same time, he had the last hit. I mean, he still...
And it's not up to them, you know, so it's just like...
The priest,
he was the
there's
last one to
nothing they
hit.
could do about it.
It's like in Battlefield or Call of Duty. She assisted, even though, it was a big thing. She was the assist. The last person that taps and they go down, they get the credit. So, like, sorry, you can put a full mag in that guy, but if he doesn't go down and someone else shoots one little bullet at him, the other guy gets it.
So for our gamer listeners, there's your reference.
I also felt like, why is that the only trial that you get immunity from the second one? Like, they don't do that with any of the others. It's not like, oh, if you get the second trial, then you get immunity from the third.
Honestly,
and
the
so
second
forth.
trial, in my opinion, and Lynn would probably disagree, but I agreed with Jonas on this, that it was, like, not hard. I mean,
Well, apparently they
like,
lost quite a few people during it, but
I
I
don't
was like, I
understand
guess because
why.
of the wolves, maybe?
Yeah, I guess the wolves.
Well,
I
she
mean, we
gets
didn't see any other creatures.
Yeah, and she got that big warning from Dinah about like the threats in the forest and that like don't be
It
complacent.
gave, like, the Harry Potter scene, you know, when
Right?
they would go into the lake.
And then it was like, it's almost like Harry Potter going in through the maze or whatever, and then
But,
it's
like,
super
remember-
easy for him for a reason. And you're just like...
But you remember when they had to, like, they took their loved ones or whatever, and they had to figure out how to breathe underwater?
Oh, that one. It was like a comment. Yeah.
Like, it kind of
was-
reminded me of that.
I thought of that scene. But I mean,
like, in the forest.
her biggest threat
With dire
really wasn't even the original direwolf. It was Kior. Because he was like, if you don't save me, I will kill you.
I'm gonna kill you.
I did find that
Like,
whole
why'd you give me
situation-
tummy troubles?
And then the consequence was just, well, you're out. So, I mean, it wasn't really, I don't know. I feel like if you're going in, and well, no, their powers were stuffed, wasn't it? Yeah, they didn't have powers. So,
They didn't have any magic, and I don't know. I guess as we get to the end and we get Edda's explanation for everything, maybe some of it'll start to make more sense. I don't know.
Edda didn't really talk about
The
trials
trials.
themselves. Edda was kind of cryptic.
as a goddess.
As the goddess will be. So Jonas
She's got
continues
a
to...
sense of humor, though. I'll give her that.
Oh, that's good. Jonas continues to fight with Rose about who saved who, and Locke is standing in the water acting really weird. So back at the hold, Zell orders everyone to go to the healers since no one knows when the next trial is going to be and that they all need to eat and rest. And Rose ends up running into Kior, who is surprised that she made it through the first trial. And she's like, she's tired, she beat up, and she's worried he's gonna take this weekend opportunity to kill her. And he kind of like sees her expression and reads her thoughts and is like pretty offended that she would think this of him. And he's like, I'm more honorable than that. And so she starts yelling at him about his honor and being like, yeah, it's okay to just like lie about what happened. And in that, there's this line he says, it's like the last line on page 193, which kind of is like the first time we're getting a good look at Kior's trauma from what had happened.
Are you talking about his face hardens and he says, your mother had one job to do,
Yes, that one.
to help bring the baby into the world and make sure my mother lived. Her response, that's 2 jobs, asshole. But you were right the first time. She did have one job to do. It was to do what the queen asked of her. My mother sadly couldn't save them both. Well, why don't you understand that? If she could have, she would have. It's that simple. Good job, girl. Good comeback.
So, I mean, I think in a lot of ways, you have someone who was just like, he was a child. We talked about it last week. He was a child and it was traumatic. And in his mind, her mother was a healer and he should have, like, that was her job, is to save his mother, and not thinking about all of those other things that, like, if she would have disobeyed, they would have been punished. And honestly, I think it was probably a no-win situation. because I think no matter what, they were both going to die, no matter what she did. She
Well, that's
might
kinda
have
what
maybe
Zell-
been able to save the queen, but if she did and the baby died and she had gone against the queen's order, there's a good chance they would have been punished anyways.
That's what Zell kind of hinted at. Like when he was having that conversation with her, he was like, you got to understand, he was also a child and your mother was doomed.
I
Like,
adore Zell.
he hinted
He's just
that.
the best.
Yeah, he was right in everything he said.
Yeah. So Rose is actually excited for the next ball that's coming up because she's going to get to see her sister. And so she heads to her room, but only to find Benny there waiting for her. And in chapter 30, Benny is upset, feeling that he took the win from her at the trial. But Rose assures him, teamwork makes the dream work. Don't worry about it. And they end up hugging, only for Jonas to walk in on them. Why do I feel like Benny planned that hug? Because he was super insistent that they hug. Because she was like, oh, we'll just do a group hug later. And he's like, no, we could hug, just me and you now, right now.
Like, hug me.
He knew it was gonna come.
And then they hugged for like a minute too. So I'm like, I feel like he's just waiting it out. He's like, just bring it in, girl.
He seems.
It was a
have
Catherine
some-
hug. He's like, it will not be short.
Foresight.
Yeah, I know. I tried to hug Mary before she left, and I hugged her, and then she stopped hugging me, and I did not stop hugging her, and she was just like, I guess we're still hugging. She didn't say that, but I felt her thoughts.
She was like, there.
But yeah, I'm like, I just feel like Jonas planned it.
Well, Jonas.
Or, I mean, not Jonas, Benny.
Seems to have some feelings toward Jonas. Didn't he say something to? Didn't Lena say?
Yes, that he is too possessive of her and hiding things.
Yes.
So Jonas comes in. He's clearly very jealous of seeing those two hugging, but eventually apologizes for yelling earlier and says that he mentions that their parents had wanted them to be betrothed as children, which I thought was just like odd to bring up. That's where I was like, is he wanting to propose? Is this him like trying to like hint that they're meant to be together or something? But he again attempts to get her to promise to stay out of danger in the next trial. And this is where I was like, is this man stupid? Have you not figured out who she is as a person yet? Like, plus, does he not know how these things work? Like how the trials themselves work? It's not like she can just be like, I'm going to sit this one out.
Exactly.
I think like he basically just wants her to. I'm really not. I don't know, dude. I mean, the whole point is participation. Like, I don't know what.
Well, and yeah, and they fight more because he's arguing, well, if you're dead, you can't win. And she's like, well, I'm also not going to win if I'm a coward and found unworthy because I'm not participating. Like, so he then tries to divert away from the argument, and he references their kiss in the carriage, saying that they could just pick up where they left off. But Rose is like done with him at this moment. Good for her. And she's like, I just want some rest and for you to maybe go away. Because he's also like, we could cuddle. She's like, no thanks.
I like when he was like, let's see. Look, how about we stop this bickering and go back to what we were doing in the carriage? You do remember what we did in the carriage, right? The shadow of a grin flickers on his lips. From what I remember, it was a lot of fun. Then he goes, was it a lot of fun? She was like, was it? Like, I'm glad you had fun. I feel like it was like fine, you know?
Like it was just a thing
that's
that
not what
happened.
you want people to think.
So later at dinner, Locke is just once again staring into the void. Locke has come back damaged from this trial.
He didn't even do anything. Like, he freaked out before the trial.
Well, he was like, I don't want to do it.
And can't get his wits about him to tell people what's going on. Like, I'm honestly disappointed in him.
I think there's more to it, hopefully, maybe, at some point. I think he's
I'm
hearing
like,
some
I
stuff.
don't know.
Not in this book.
So looking around, they realize how many they actually lost in that first trial, because I think they ended up losing like half of, yeah. And they discuss Benny accepting that gift to skip the second trial, because Benny is going to skip the second trial. And Rose admits that Kior probably is not going to skip the second trial because of how he views like honor and, being worthy of Edda's stuff. And she's like, I'm pretty sure he's not going to skip it. Like, he's going to take part. Zara ends up approaching them angry that Rose has made it through because her brother Shem did not. He was killed during the trial. And Linos defends Rose, basically saying she's a badass and she deserves to be there. But again, Zara is ultimately upset because she's never felt Rose has been worthy to be in these trials. And she obviously felt like her brother was worthy and he didn't make it. And Zara ends up again threatening her before she leaves of watch your back.
Imagine getting threatened with death because you're not dead. I'm like, dang. Like, that's gotta be a rough place to be in, you know? Be like, I'm just alive and I'm a problem, apparently.
Just existing. It's like social media. People just be mad for nothing. Just existing.
Girl, I don't even know you.
She's like, I don't even go here.
Like, now I'm like, I met you so just a minute ago. You wanted to kill me immediately. I don't like it. I don't like her. I don't like. It's just like the worst character. Like, ugh.
I just don't understand her motivation.
She's just such a pain in the butt, like through the whole thing. Like it's like no one can do anything without her showing up and being annoying. Like, and by annoying I mean like murderous. Like, and to be fair, Holden is kind of similar.
Well, honestly, I thought a lot of it was this very much like in her mind, these are the people who are worthy and worthy of respect and worthy of being in this and worthy of this. And that like there's clearly certain people she views as not, right? That are less than. But later, we don't get it in this set, but it's like shortly after the set of chapters where we get her also being a bitch to Kior because he disagrees with her and like pretty hatefully. And I was like, you don't even respect the freaking heir to the throne? I'm like, that's a bold choice to make.
Are we talking about what happened with
Don't say it.
It's not in the set of chapters.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I thought that
I
was.
was like, don't say it.
I thought that was pretty wild. Yeah.
yeah. So in chapter 31, as Lynn and Rose start picking out her dress for the ball, Lynn brings up Jonas being all serious with Benny and all jealous with him, and Benny saying that he feels like Jonas is too possessive of her and hiding something. And we don't get the conversation with Jonas until book 2.
Jonas is hiding something. Yes.
He is hiding. Okay.
And it's not small.
Okay. Interesting. I'm excited.
Like,
Is it towards the end, or are we going to get it here soon, you think?
what do you mean? When you find out what it is? No, that's the beginning of the next book.
Yeah, we don't find out
Yeah.
in this book.
We don't find out what he's hiding at all?
No, she said it's not till the beginning of the next book.
He tells us at the beginning of the next book.
Are
And you know
you?
what? And he only even tells her then because Edda frickin' told him to, that he needed to tell her. I was like, dang,
Lord.
it takes a whole goddess to get you to own up.
Well, to be fair,
To
he
your
was
knowledge.
going to tell her.
Well, I guess I need to it took me a hot minute to get this book in. I guess I just need to be ordering the second book here real quick so I can have it.
You're
to
gonna
be
wanna
ready.
Is
start
it on
immediately.
Kindle Unlimited? Yeah.
You're gonna want to start it immediately, and I mean immediately.
Well, I also want the book for the beginning of this too.
I finished this book, and my first thought was, "You gotta be kidding!" I was like, "Wow!"
How very PG of you. I feel like I might have some other words.
Like,
Once I
was
get
like,
there.
wow. Like, it's a good thing the second one's already out, or I would have been real pissed.
And then we've got Veil of
You did an
Lip-
Elizabeth. Wow.
That's the Owen Wilson. Wow.
Yeah,
You
there
guys go,
there are
wow.
some big things that happen, and it is just
In the last
little
25%.
bit.
of
And
the
what's
book.
funny is it's nothing like there's the rebellion. There's no big and I'm the bad guy. Like there is not. It's like nothing like that. But it's still pretty heavy betrayal. And it took me out. I was so pissed. Anyway,
We're going to get off this podcast and I'm going to order the second book. So I have it ready and on hand.
He's gonna win the trial.
So Lynn also mentions that Benny can be paranoid because of his family, but evades elaborating.
I think it's worse than what you just said.
And I'm like, what is Benny's family?
You find out
Okay.
In
So-
this book.
Lynn,
in this book.
thank God.
Denise
So
Fan-
Lynn ends up picking a dress and talks about altering it in a similar fashion to the previous one, and that, this is going to become her signature look, which we kind of talked about was going to happen. And Rose later can't sleep, and she goes to the kitchen and finds one of the cooks, Layla, and asks her if she would be willing to send that wasted leftover food that they always have to the slums, and that she's going to arrange for Reuben to help kind of organize that. Which Layla says as long as she can kind of get the okay for it, she's down. She'll do it. So. And then back in her room, she's looking at that dagger. She's still kind of afraid to really use it because she doesn't know what the magic is with it and what's going to happen if she uses it. But she's kind of, still futzing with it, trying to figure it out. And she hears noises outside. And it's, lo and behold, Zara being Zara, doing Zara things with her little friend Matu, who is a fire wielder. And since their door is warded, they can't get in. Apparently did they have an axe? I don't know. I can't remember. They were trying to break in and could not get in the door.
They were pushing something.
And then they instead end up lighting her door on fire.
That'd be fun.
It's
So
like,
they were pushing something. I said all he had to do was pull.
I was just, honestly, this scene was playing out the first time that I was reading it, and I was like, maybe those stairs will just collapse.
Honestly, that's what I was hoping.
They mentioned the stairs so often.
I really thought, I was like.
I know, I was like, maybe those stairs.
I'm like, of all the things to make it after this scene, the stairs to be like, you know.
Surviving. So Rose uses that sand bucket that Jonas left her as a gift to try to put out the fire that they start, but it is not enough, and it's just a raging fire. So there's no way out. She can't find an escape. She ends up having to kick through the door and going through the fire to escape. But she ends up kind of like trapped in the fire as she's trying to get out. And she hears Linus calling to her in her wind right before she like blacks out. And so she ends up waking, and she's not in her bed, and she's in the healer's room, and Jonas is there and asking her what happened. And so she's, saying what happened with Zara and the fire. And apparently Locke had heard something and had told Linus to go rescue her, and that it's taken like 5 days for her to recover, which that part was what, out of all of it, that part was what was devastating to Rose, because she missed the ball and she didn't get to see her sister because she was looking forward to that. So then in chapter 32, Rose she ends up moving in with the Islanders after the attack. And in retaliation to Zara and the others in her group, Rose ends up planning a poison, but she doesn't want to kill anybody. So she ends up making like a concoction to make. At first I thought she was going to make
really strong X-Lax.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, at first I was like, oh,
Really
she's giving them the diarrhea lettuce is what she's giving them.
It's coming out of both ends.
But apparently it was also coming out. A lot of vomiting was happening. But so she's like, I'm going to make them this thing and just give them, she calls it a dodgy tummy. She's like, I'm just going to give them the super dodgy tummy instead.
But can you imagine, like, because you were talking about, like, the trials and their, like, difficulty. Like, these people still made it through that trial.
Being that sick.
They found the people that they needed to find while puking their guts up.
You power through sometimes. I'll never forget. I had a competition that I was doing in college. I was in a criminal justice class, and we would travel around and do these like law enforcement competitions that the state police put on. I was doing one. You have to like go and you had to like
to get tased.
Well, the first year it was like an arrest. You had to perform like a felony arrest, and do all of that. But the second year I did it was a crime scene one. And the second year I did it with the crime scene one, I had the flu with like this super high fever. I felt like crap. I remember I was trying to write, because you had to write the report up afterwards, and like
You solved that crime, didn't you?
I won. I won both years.
With
the flu.
But I remember trying to write my report, and the words were literally like swimming. I was just like I can't form sentences.
Classic Mary.
So
I'm over here like, this story doesn't surprise me at all.
So meanwhile, Zell has like disappeared. Like he's gone somewhere. And that left Holden in charge over their training. And Holden decides that he's going to make them pick teams and do this like competition against each other. And he picks Zara as a team captain and Rose as a team captain, pitting them against each other.
Dodgeball, but with powers.
And death. So, and Zara and Holden.
And only one target.
Yeah. Yes, because Zara and Holden exchange these like knowing glances. And so Rose sees it and is like, oh, I'm fucked. Like she's like, they're in on it together. So surprising. And she's like, oh no, Holden's not even going to make the teams be even. She's like, I'm really screwed. But she's really surprised because Grenda, the super badass Lady Knight, ends up joining them, along with Bayless, the crazy older lady with the illusion magic, Serene, and Kestria join her team, along with a few others that Jonas ends up able to recruit. And so the teams end up being pretty even. I think they were only like one short of the other team.
Kiora wasn't there.
But he shows up.
He shows up, though.
And wins the entire game.
He's so cool. So Benny is trying
Classic Kiora.
Classic.
I just want to be like, if you could dodge a witch, you could dodge magic.
So Benny's trying to figure out how to win, but he needs to know their strategy first. And Locke announces that the strategy is just to kill Rose.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, that's all they're going to do. So they all end up working together on the strategy of how to protect Rose while also trying to take them down. And technically, the rules were just you had to stay on your feet, and once you were like brought down in any way, you were out. But Holden makes it clear that also he would be perfectly thrilled if people died. Like, he does not care. And also, clearly, the rules don't apply at all because Zara immediately, before anybody can like get a hold of her magic, she starts opening Rose's wounds, which drops her to her knees. And she's like, okay, cool, I'm done, I'm out. And they just keep attacking her and going after her. So I was like, okay, clear display of bias, Holden. So Jonas...
Yeah, I wish I could say that doesn't get worse.
The jealous.
No.
Real.
Jonas attempts to lead, but apparently is not a very good leader either. And they're losing.
At least Dane was a good leader.
Dane was a good leader. Jonas is sort of just crap at everything, man. Like, he is...
Jonas is like, I got this.
Well, and he kind of panics, too. He's like, I don't know, guys, just do something. Like, make it back.
Classic Jonas.
But he is, too. He's like, I don't know, fix it. Like, he has no actual leadership skill.
I can only blind him one at a time.
Well, and then even in that first trial, he's like, tell me what to do.
Dude's just a
But they attempt to use Eva's ash weaving, which ends up, side note, ends up like somehow that requires Rose to lose her shirt in the whole situation to create ash. But
I was like, okay.
I'm like, just one way to get you in your bra, girly, I guess. But but that ash is like immediately blown back on them by the other side. So that ends up not being very helpful either. And pretty much most of their team is down at this point, and they're getting drained of magic. And that's when Kior walks in, and he's like, what's going on? And Holden tells him, like, what's going on? And, you know, is explaining it and kind of being like, I don't know, crude about it a little bit. And Kior quickly, like, puts two and two together, and he's like, oh, all of this just to kill Rose. And Kior says, bring them to their knees. It is. And kicks off his shoes and puts his feet in the sand. And he ends up calling up a storm with lightning that reverberates through the ground. And it brings every single person in the room, except for him, to their knees. And he just goes, I win. And I think that chapter actually ends. He's like looking at Rose with just like her bra on, her shirt burned off. And he's like, I like this look on you.
I prefer this look on you, he says, his eyes offering the slightest hint of a twinkle before he sobers. And I'm like, a twinkle?
A twinkle, you say? A touch of amusement.
No.
In chapter 33, woken early, Rose is woken early by Locke, who's been muttering throughout the night. And Rose heads to training with Zell, but he is not there. And she finds Kior instead, saying that Zell is out and that he will be taking over her training. And he tells her that she needs to eat before coming from now on, and then proceeds to give her like a grueling training session, which afterwards he flirts with her, and she reminds him that she hates him, and he tells her that's what would make it so good. Their little back and forth sometimes are like entertaining. They're not as cute as like Blake and Aurora's and like the Wolf King series, but they're pretty entertaining.
It is cute. It's a cute dynamic, yeah.
And honestly, they're probably more enemies.
They're more enemies.
Like to get,
Lovers.
you know, the enemies to lovers than I think a lot of other ones that we end up getting. Because a lot of them pretty immediately, like she does lust after him at first, before she knows who she is, and then afterwards she's kind of disgusted with herself for that. And while there's definitely like a physical attraction, she still very much hates him as a person, and he still very much is kind of like not great with her either. And I think for like you kind of get this like actual true enemies to lovers dynamic in this one, which you don't always get when you're promised that. You usually you get like lukewarm, I don't like you, or we don't agree, but you're hot, and then but we really want to fuck. And so this one, I feel like you are getting more of that enemies, which is fun. Where was I at?
I know we all hate him, Kestria says, but we can admit that what he did yesterday was incredibly hot, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Kestria, you know, is talking about that. And Rose asks why Kestria hates him too, because she's kind of surprised that so many people kind of hate the prince. And Kestria mentions that there's like all these deaths in the battle, and that the statements that were given that are battles that the prince has led as commander, and that when they got back, the statements that they gave did not add up. Do we get any of that before the end?
No.
So many unanswered questions.
There is one thing that gets brought up, and we've already
And that's Benny's family.
No, I'm talking about with, well, yes, but I'm talking about with Kior, that has already been brought up, Belle's sister.
Okay.
The baby.
The baby? Did he knock her up?
that's not, you will find out what happened there, but that comes back into play.
Okay.
But this other stuff, I don't know.
Okay. So Benny is picking on Linos for staying up with Kaz through the night, and Kestria asks why they don't split up since there's more rooms available. And Benny's kind of like, I don't know, Benny's kind of weird because he's like pretty intimidating about the way he does it. And he's like, I just prefer if we all stay together. And then she's like, well, what does everybody else prefer? And he's like, everyone else does what I think is best. I was like, dang, Benny. Okay. And Kestria kind of like also catches it and eyes him a little funky because she's like, what's going on with you? So they all hope that Zell is going to be back for training, and Rose admits that he is not there and is gone. And they all begin to kind of wonder where he went. And some of them are kind of like throwing out like, oh, well, maybe he went to see family. When Locke then pipes up again with his mysterious knowledge, and he says, the prince is the only son Zell considers himself to have. And I was like, okay, how do you know that, Locke? So when Benny asks him about it, Locke kind of raves about Zell knowing of the marks, which I think we can put 2 and 2 together, that those marks are the marks on the wall that Rose had seen earlier, those tally marks in the training yard. And Benny again gets after Linos for being distracted with Kaz and telling her that she's got a job to do and Kaz has a job to do, and like they need to like focus. But Linos throws back that Locke has been saying, muttering in his sleep, and what he's been saying in his sleep, and that Benny also has his own job to worry about, and maybe he needs to focus on that, which is why I feel like Locke has got to come back into play, because something about what he is saying is tying in with whatever the hell Benny is doing there.
Interested in how this is going to play out, because so you do find out who Benny is, and you find out, a lot about Benny, but you never find out what he wanted in the gifting. And I'm assuming, my assumption is, my theory is that they were all sent there, and if any one of those East Islanders were to win, they would request the same thing.
That was kind of what I got from it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
even where I'm at, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm interested,
because even Linos just talks about how she knows what she has to ask for if she wins, but it's not necessarily what she would have wanted for herself.
After we meet some different people, you could maybe theorize, I guess, but it never actually comes up what they wanted in the gifting.
Maybe it's in the second book.
My assumption is you'll find out that we'll find out in the second book. Because they're too cryptic about it for it to not come back up.
Yeah. So Kestria and Rose end up training together later, and Kestria asks about the group dynamics and all that tension that she's kind of gathering. And Rose explains to Kestria that they had lost so many, including the one that Zara had killed. Swan?
Yes.
Okay. Which Kestria then calls the Whisperer.
That sounds very like Southern. She goes, Sue Ann for all I know.
Sue Ann.
Zara killed Sue Ann.
So I think it's
Sue Ann from the holler.
Well, they're from the islands. So I think it's interesting. They have one that can hear because they have Locke. They have one who can see, which is Benny. And then they have the Whisperer, which was Shuan. Shuan. So they have the scribe, Caroline, who was sent there, which we still don't know her power, but she's there. And we were told before, when we just knew her as Kaz, that Linos thought she was sent away because she was powerful and useful. So I don't know what her power is, but they using it.
What I know about her is that she can apparently write pretty well.
And then you have the wind, and then you have several different types of the heating, along with some muscle that Jai had, because he was kind of built like a tank. So
it seems to be a very thought out group.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They all had their roles to play.
Which originally I kind of thought maybe they were there to...
Not everyone gets chosen. So it makes you wonder how many other people that they also had try and do it.
Try to go. Yeah.
Make it.
Well, and I thought at first, with this grouping, I was like, were they there to spy? But there's got to be more to it than that too, because of trying to get through the offering. So I'm just
the East Islanders don't care for the king. I mean, and that's pretty
obvious.
Clear.
Yeah. Benny hates him.
Like I said, we don't know anything about the gifting, or at least I don't at the end of the book and the beginning of the second book. But I can only assume that there's wanting to be some sort of overthrow of power, maybe. They just seem to hate the king. They don't talk this, and this is just a guess. I know nothing. So, like, it has to be something rebellious towards the current ruler, I would assume. That's, like, my guess. But, I mean, I might be totally wrong. I have no idea.
So Kestri explains that Soreen, sure, was incredible. Like, she was this, like, incredible warrior. She was very powerful.
Wait, the one that got killed?
No, the one that
No,
was,
she's the-
the one that's crazy now.
I thought you were talking about Sue Ann. I was over here like, but she was a runt. That according to Zara, they got.
No, the crazy older lady that keeps doing random illusions.
Gotcha. I like her.
I do like her. She's giving TikTok, like TikTok clock from Hunger Games. That pairing.
There are a lot of Hunger Games.
She reminds me of the lady from the nursing home with the shopping cart in Dungeon Crawler Girl in the very first book. Where you're like, that lady is going places.
She's a dark horse, man. That lady is going places, literally, because she just keeps going.
But after she came back from those battles, though, Kestri said that she changed, and that's when she went a little batty. So later,
Apparently, it didn't take much for Locke either.
I know.
He heard a giant, and suddenly he's just like.
I think Serene can hear stuff too.
But he has these weird like moments of clarity when he's like, "Well, they're here to kill her," and like I'm like, "There you are," but what?
But where are you going?
Where are you going? Like.
So later at dinner, Jonas says he doesn't want her or Kay to return to the slums after the trials are over and promises to make sure that he's going to find a way and alludes to the still wanting to have this conversation with her, which apparently we're not going to get till book 2. So don't get excited for it, folks, because you ain't getting it. Just know it's going to happen at some point.
Wait, what's going to happen?
That conversation.
Yeah.
That he keeps alluding to.
I'm assuming that what he says he wants to talk to her about is what he ends up talking to her about.
In the beginning of the second book.
That's my assumption. Like, not that he doesn't say a whole bunch of dumb crap between now and the end of the book, but, like, as far as his big, like, thing, like, that's at the beginning of the second book.
So after Jonas leaves, she ends up seeing Kior sneaking past the kitchens and, like, skulking around. So, and she ends up deciding to follow him. In chapter 34, she finds Kior going to the temple, and he ends up meeting up with Zell. And Zell brought him his direwolf, saying that he saw him struggling without her. And Kior is torn because he's both upset because he doesn't feel like it's fair to the other bonded knights. And I think again, you're starting to really get this, like, you're getting a solid look at Kior's morality, where he stands.
Till the end of the book.
As far as that, because he's very big on like honor and not violating the rules, whatever. But also he clearly loves his wolf, and so he's like super happy to see her. Which I will say, before the wolf is revealed, Rose is thinking that Zell is talking about bringing him a woman to see, and she's a little jelly for like a minute. And then she catches herself being a little jelly, and she's like, never mind, I don't care. And then she's like, oh wait,
you can bring all the girls. I don't care. No big deal.
So Zell mentions that he needed a reminder of what he is fighting for, which I'm like, what are you fighting for? Because why are you in the trials? Do we learn that?
Why Kior is in the trials? Nope.
So many unanswered questions in book 1.
This whole book is nothing but setup. You get nothing.
Catherine's like, I finished it. And I'm like, good, we're going to get answers. And she's like, nope.
I have answers, just not any of those.
Yeah.
That you're asking me.
I kind of felt like that last week when I was like, I was already at like where we are this week. I was at the halfway mark, and I'm like, I still don't, all of my theories I can give you because I have no answers. Like, I don't know what the dagger is. I don't know what the Eastern Islanders are doing. Like,
guess what? We still don't know.
We still don't know.
You don't ever find out what Kior wanted in the gifting, at least not in this. And
it will all be revealed by book 4.
I hope that something happens in the second book, and I don't know. I'm so livid.
She's mad at Kior, and we don't know why.
So Rose ends up slipping, and she makes a noise when she does, and it gets the wolf's attention, and the wolf looks up at her, and so Rose bails, and she's like running from the temple, just praying no one saw her. And she's almost to her room when she ends up hearing Benny and Lenos yelling at each other again. And Benny claims that Lenos is putting everyone at risk, and Lenos says he put Caroline at risk for years, but then Benny is like, I didn't have anything to do with that decision. And he says their plan has gone completely to shit, and they need to rethink their strategy. And Lenos says that's not what she signed up for. Apparently, we're not going to get to know anything about any of it.
Yeah, sorry.
Little sip of-
Okay.
What do you got?
This is Dr. Pepper. No, she's patting my back, and I was just like, I was waiting.
You stopped.
My grandfather, whenever you'd start coughing, he would go like this. He would go, get it out! He would do like that. And you would just be fighting for your life, like coughing. He's like, oh, I would be like, how is this helpful?
Like, what kind of old wives' tale was he working with?
He would do that every time. And I remember, like, I would just be struggling, and I would be like, why? And he would be like, it helps. And I'm like, I don't know if it does.
I think that it does.
Like, if anything, it would get my mind off it, maybe, if that was the goal. Because now I'm just like, I can't breathe and I'm exercising.
So as Benny and Lenos are continuing to argue, Benny says, I don't need you to agree. You seem to have forgotten who you're talking to. Which apparently we do learn who Benny is, so maybe we'll get like minor.
I don't know who Benny is. I like Benny. Benny's good. Watch him.
And then Lenos responds to Lenos responds with, if he's pulling rank, why don't I get on my knees to you right now? And I'm like, what is Benny? He's got to be like a king or some sort of royalty, or like a prince or something, right? Right?
Something.
Damn it.
He is not a king.
Okay. So Locke announces that Rose is outside, and everyone goes quiet, so that way she won't overhear what they're arguing about. And Rose pretends to have just arrived. I just got here, guys. Heard nothing. And in chapter 35, Zell is back for training, and towards the end of training with Rose, Kiora finally shows up and joins them with a big old tray of pastries, asking if she's eaten. And she hesitates. I guess she starts, I can't remember if it's because she's thinking about what she's planning to do with Zara or what, but she's like thinking that it might be poisoned. And Kiora kind of picks up on it and gets irritated and tells her that it's not poisoned, and he eats one to prove it, yelling at her that she needs to fuel her body, and if she doesn't, she's just wasting everyone's time, basically. And then he just leaves. And Zell alludes that he's just grumpy because he had to say goodbye to his wolf again, which also means that he knows that Rose was there. And then he also tells her that Kiora is trying to atone for his lies, which also means that not only does Zell know about everything that happened, but that Kiora has also admitted to him that he did lie and that he feels bad about it. So Zell then explains that he was just a child and he was looking for someone to blame, and tries to convince her to not continue to live with her hate with him. And a week later, Rose tells Lenos that her concoction is finally ready, and she's going to put it in the Zaros's group. I can't remember what kingdom they're from, but she's going to put it in the Rawell. Sure. But she's going to put it in their water jug in the morning. Except the first person that ends up at that table isn't Zara or any of her crew, but Kiora, who has never come to the dining room for breakfast before. And he gets a glass of water. And she does feel bad enough about it to distract him before he ends up getting a second glass of water. And they end up, he ends up flirting with her some more. And then Holden comes in because apparently Kiora had been fighting with Holden, which you also get the sense that Kiora has zero love for Holden because he just trashes him, but in like a polite way. He's like, yeah, it was because Holden's like, good workout, Your Highness. And he's like, yeah, it was a nice warm up.
Holden's the worst.
But she ends up offering Holden a glass of water as well, right before Zara ends up showing up with her clan, and they drink the rest of the water. And then she goes to train with Zell once again. And again, he tells her that Kiora is not to blame for what happened back then. And that the king would have punished her family no matter what. And that he said that Kiora is just like, he's been trying to do everything to make it right, including helping to train her, which, Rose is confused by because she's like, that was a bet. And he's like, oh no, there was no bet. He did this completely on his own. He just wants to help you. So again, we're getting some more, like, Kiora's just trying to help her. Even though apparently we're going to hate him at the end of the book. Or at least be a little mad at him.
I don't hate him. I think that he did something very, 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 very stupid. Or maybe it wasn't stupid. Maybe it was what he was going to do. I don't know.
She's highly disappointed.
The last we see of him, he's walking away, and I don't have any reason to believe that there's anything else going on that, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think the best, but he better friggin' fix it. Is all.
So Zell also tells her about her father, and that her father should have been the commander, and that he was, this great fighter, and he was super powerful with his magic, and that he was better and stronger than him in every way. And they end up having this really good training session with her actually blocking pretty much all of his strikes and even getting some hits in on Zell. And so it's like proving to herself that she's massively improving. And again, she's feeling a little bit more optimistic that she stands a chance getting through these trials and maybe even winning the gifting. So Locke tells everyone that the next trial is coming soon and that he can hear them whispering even though they think no one can hear them. And again, apparently we don't learn anything about this, but like, what the fuck is Locke listening to?
It makes you wonder if it's either the gods themselves.
It's like his brain has changed channels.
Yeah, like he's on a different
Yeah,
frequency
like
now.
On a walkie-talkie. It's like suddenly he's privy to things that aren't his business.
Which again, I think that's what happened to Siren, because Siren was doing that a little bit.
He's picking up the gods' chatter.
They're all on the god frequency, apparently. Mm-hmm. So that night in bed, Linos offers for her and Kay to go back with them to the Eastern Isles, which, Rose is pretty touched by, just as the bell rings, marking the start of the second trial. And in chapter 36, they're told they have to travel alone to this trial. Jonas finds her and stops her before they leave and kisses her again, only to find Kior staring at her, not looking thrilled, which was giving very Xaden watching Dane kiss Violet vibes.
Yeah.
I was like, that man does not like that. So once she arrives, the priestess is awaiting her with instructions. And that priestess ends up being Dinah, who apparently pulled some strings to come in and help her out. And she asks her to make sure that she brought that dagger with her, which she was like, I did. And she starts trying to ask her questions about that dagger, but Dinah can't tell her anything because she's like, girl, I got to give you the instructions. We're on a time frame. Like, we got to get you started. So we still learn nothing about the dagger. And she ends up giving her the rules, which is she has to rescue Kay and she has to retrieve her before dawn. And she warns her that there are like these serious threats in the forest, which we didn't really get any of. We just got some wolves.
We got the dire wolf that was like weirdly cool.
Afraid of her dagger.
Yeah.
Is it the dire blade?
Wouldn't that be?
Did it cross realms?
When he threw it, it just wasn't just tossed to the side. It tossed to another magical realm.
But she also tells her that in this trial there will be no magic. So for once, kind of a level playing field here for Rose. So she can hear others calling for their loved ones as she works her way through the forest trying to find her sister. But she's not really sure what direction to head. So she, again, uses those climbing skills. And she's climbing up these trees to kind of figure out where she needs to go. She sees some light kind of in the center of the forest and figures out how to navigate there. But as she's doing this, she ends up hearing someone throwing up. And then she was like, oh yeah, I poisoned some people yesterday. So she ends up running across Zara, who's just, reenacting the exorcism, just like vomiting her guts up. And Zara starts threatening Rose, who just laughs and is like, it's not like you're in any condition to like do anything to me. Good luck.
Like, not only do you not have any magic, but you're also like throwing up. So I'm gonna just skedaddle.
I will say, this is where I was like, are we going to get a redemption for Zara? Because she does have this one slightly human moment where she starts asking, asking her from where she went up in the tree if she saw anybody. Like, that she actually cares about someone and was worried. And I was like, a touch of humanity from the villain.
Who knows who it was?
Yeah, we definitely didn't learn it anywhere in here.
Because I'll say this, in the freaking third trial, she, doesn't seem to care about her other, teammates. She's just,
Bossy.
not even bossy, just the worst.
Just the worst, yeah. So Rose obviously doesn't offer her anything or help her in any way and continues to she leaves her and goes and is continuing to climb trees to figure out where she needs to go along the way. And when she gets to another tree to go climb, she realizes all of a sudden that everything's gone super quiet and she has come face to face with a dire wolf. And in chapter 37, she pulls her dagger and tries to talk to the wolf, hoping she can at least just maybe slip past it. She's like, I don't want to hurt you. We could be friends.
I thought she did pretty good there.
I honestly thought, I was like, because they said that it was an unbonded direwolf.
I know.
I thought she was going to bond.
I was like, are they going to bond? I thought that was no.
No.
Poor thing got killed.
But she ends up showing the wolf the dagger, kind of not on purpose. Like, she was just had it in her hand and she was holding it up to be like, I'm not going to hurt you. And the wolf clocks the dagger and starts whining and seems afraid of the dagger. Something's up with that dagger, y'all. We
only know the name of the dagger.
So the wolf howls and cowers and starts acting really afraid. And Rose is like, okay, scared wild critters don't just like cower. It's gonna attack me. So Rose ends up yelling for it to run, and it does. And again, that's where I was like, it's giving Dire Blade. Like she can control these damn wolves with it, maybe. I don't know. Very interesting. So, which would make sense why Dinah asked to make sure she had it if that was the like threat in the woods was the wolves, but that if that blade can help control the wolves.
But you'd think Elska would have clocked it.
You would think. But she never even got a chance to pull it, I don't think, around Elska because Kior kills that wolf.
But didn't she have it in her hand?
I don't know. Which I was surprised Kior killed a wolf.
I was very shocked by that. I'm like, is Elska not pissed at you?
Excuse me?
Right.
Like they're like that's pretty like they're like a sacred
animal.
Yeah.
And he loves his wolf.
Yeah, enough to ride her, which is apparently a big deal.
But so Rose takes the chance and also runs. And she ends up coming across another wolf. And before she can see, and this is where I was like, I don't know if she had her dagger, because in my notes I said before she could even pull her dagger, someone slits the wolf's throat. So I don't know if she had it in her hand.
Well, did she put it up then? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
Because he was scared of the dagger.
We'll find out in the second book.
Everything's coming in the second book.
If I'm not mistaken, I think we find out that there are 3 daggers. Because we already know about 2 of them.
For some reason, I want to say I've also already come across that there might be 3 of them.
But but that's it. Like, because I think there's not anything other than this is what the daggers are called. There's 3 of them. And then a ton of missing information that's been torn out of a book.
Yes, I did get to the missing pages in the book.
Yeah, that's all we get.
Yeah. So, it was Kior, obviously, who slit this wolf's throat, which, again, I was very surprised that he would kill a wolf. I just thought that was a little shocking for him and just the type of person he is.
Maybe Elska's giving him a pass since he's all,
trying to save her. Yeah. So, and Elska's with him, his wolf. And Kior says, I believe you've met. And then just starts vomiting. And so feeling guilty, Rose tells him Solarium root will counter the effects. And Kior realizes that she did this to him. And his wolf Elska stops her from leaving. And Kior tells her that she's going to help get the antidote or he's going to kill her. Or Elska will even kill her. So in chapter 38, Kior makes her describe the root to him, including like what it looks like, what it smells like, all of these things. And then he ends up using his senses to visualize it. And his wolf is able to find it.
It's pretty convenient.
It is. It's handy.
I wish I could do that with my dog. Be like,
find this. So Rose goes with Elska to retrieve it.
Good if we had that connection, considering she comes in here with all kinds of crap that I don't know where she got it from.
So Rose goes with Elska to retrieve that Solarium root, bringing it back to Kior, and she ends up helping him peel it and gives him instructions on how to take it. And while waiting for it to work, Rose brings up her discussion with Zell and that she knows that he told him about the lie. And Kior mentions that Zell is a fool for thinking him redeemable, which I was like, I felt like that also showed that that he actually is really remorseful for the lie that he told and what happened to them afterwards. And he obviously has not forgiven himself, nor does he really expect Rose to at all. As Kior is recovering, with that Solarium root, he's also threatening Rose the whole time about poisoning him. He finally climbs on his wolf, and she sees for the first time that all those rumors that he's able to ride his wolf are true as he rides her away. And Dawn is super fast approaching, so she's panicking, and she needs to find the lights in the middle of the forest to get to her sister. And when she gets there, she gets her sister. All is good, except Kay then panics that she's lost her mother's ring. And and I don't know if this is important at all. That's why I just mentioned it, because I was like, why are they talking? The fact that they bring it up, I'm like, I don't know. But she loses the ring in the forest. They're trying to look for it, but the trial ends and the magic pulls them from the trial. So they lose any chance of finding this ring. So I don't know if that ring's going to come back or not, but
It's going to come back in the 3rd book.
Probably. We're going to
not in this book.
completely forget about it. And on the closing chapters of the final book, they'll be like, and there was the ring that would save them all.
That's right.
I will say, again, I was reading this in the middle of the night when I was dealing with insomnia, so I might be like, nope, there's no answer, and then next week you're going to be like, I thought you said that we didn't discuss this. It was right here on page whatever. That could also
we definitely didn't learn anything about the ravens. And I'm like, she's the raven.
There was 1.3 ravens. There's going to be 3 ravens.
I feel like the ravens were important.
The ravens have got to be important.
They got to be important.
Which is
I
interesting.
don't know.
Now, who knows if this is the connection? Because I genuinely don't know. But there are 3 daggers.
But do you remember?
3 daggers.
Do you
3
remember that one
ravens.
time we played Dungeons and Dragons, and then there was the topic of milk, and we were just hung up on milk,
And nothing.
And it was nothing?
It was just a glass of milk, and
We're
that's
like,
all I
what's
could
in
think
the
of.
milk? Where did you get the milk?
It's scarred now.
There was nothing to do with the milk. It was
I think the
It
storyline
was a side
actually
quest.
did get changed to where there was something with the milk. Because
we kept harping
we
on
kept
it.
harping on it, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
like, fine, whatever. You guys can have some milk. Like, it makes you see squirrels. I don't know. So in chapter 39, back, the rescued loved ones have already been taken away, and Rose finds Grenda, who got to see her son, one of her sons. I think it was her youngest. So she's obviously reeling from that because she's happy he's alive, but then she only got to see him for a few moments. So that's got to be rough. Poor, I can only imagine. Like if it was little Dwight.
And to only see one of your kids.
Yeah,
I was
I know.
like,
And not
they
even
picked
know
it.
if
I know. What would you do, Mary? Like only one of your kids.
it'd be rough.
You, Catherine. Who would it be?
I mean, I only see one of my children most of the time now because it's hard to get to see both of them except at Christmas. But it's usually the only time right now I get both of my children at once. Except for the ball. Apparently I get them both. I'm excited.
I'm excited for that.
So they take carriages back to where she finds Jonas and Zara, but can't find Linos. And Kior approaches saying that he needs to talk to her. And Jonas jumps in trying to dissuade him, saying, now is not the time. We have lost people. And Kior's just like, I wasn't asking, bitch. Back off. So, which I love the exchange too, because Jonas looks at Rose and is like, I'll be over here if you need me. And Kior's like you could do anything about it.
I mean,
So Kiora ends up yelling at her again about poisoning him, but she ends up going into explaining how it was an accident. And she like didn't mean to poison him, like who she was trying to poison. He just happened to be there. But their conversation gets interrupted because Linos finally arrives, and she was the last out of the trial, and she ends up having this huge gash on her arm from, being attacked by a wolf. But she's also super hopped up on painkillers and just decides to announce very loudly that she can't wait for the ball and Rose's dress, because Jonas is really going to want to fuck her in it. Which, once again, Kior's standing right there, just like staring daggers.
and Jonas got embarrassed.
Yeah. So back with Benny, they ask about the others, including
If I was
Locke.
Jonas, I would have been like, haha, high five.
High five. Good job.
Up top.
So back with Benny, they ask about the others, including Locke, who they have not seen. And Benny's like, apparently those from the trials have been returned from their kingdoms that they came, and that no one knows like whether or not Locke made it out alive, like if he failed and survived and just got sent back, or if he's dead. And apparently we're not going to learn in this book, so that sucks.
Well, heck, now I'm
3.
Hold up. Now I'm wondering if I missed something. I might have to go back and look because I'm like,
We just
well, I can't.
we don't know
I
if he's
can,
alive.
I
think he's alive.
I can
I
tell
think
you
he's
guys
alive.
when we get off camera.
Okay.
It's not a big spoiler for you guys, but I don't want to say it on here.
Okay. So then we move into chapter 40, which was our last chapter of this week. And Linos has arranged for Rose's dress sleeves to resemble what she originally described as bat wings. But now, after she puts it on, they say that they kind of resemble feathers and she looks like a raven. And I was like, what is up with the raven?
Symbolism is big here.
It's so big. And then at the ball, her sister finds her right away. And Jonas leaves them together to talk because he wants to go talk to his father anyways. And in this weird, awkward attempt to like avoid kissing him, as he like leans into like, I guess he was going to kiss her cheek and she went to give him, I don't know. I can't really figure out how it happened, but they end up kissing, but not on purpose. And it's super awkward and weird. But as he leaves, Kay is like super excited and asks if they're a thing. And Rose is like, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, Rose is not feeling Jonas, y'all. So Kay wants to move away from this is another one that I mentioned in here. And I don't know if it's important or not. But she says repeatedly how cold she is.
Yeah,
Yes,
she
that's
does.
gonna come back.
I
Okay.
feel like that's important.
It is.
Okay.
I
that-
clocked that too. I was
Okay.
like,
Because she also was weird about the dagger. Remember? Like it burned her.
yeah.
And I was like, something's going on with that. So another gentleman approaches Kay saying that he'd been looking for her and wanted to dance again. And Kay introduces Rose to what?
I'm sorry.
Yep.
It just dawned on me because we haven't mentioned it. But do you remember that Rose had been talking about her mother kept telling them to make a concoction or take like some sort of an elixir.
Yes.
And she just hasn't done it.
Yes.
I'm wondering if Kay has been taking the same thing. I wonder if they're both just not drinking whatever it is that their mother was like, you need to take this every day. I wonder if that's masking something, or I wonder if that's important. Think about it. All of a sudden, they're not drinking this elixir that their mother was like, you need to drink this every day. It's really important, and they're not doing it. And I don't know. Something's happening.
That's a
But I
good
caught
point.
that too. So I don't know.
Interesting.
But we won't find out in this book.
So she gets introduced to Hugh.
No,
and
you don't.
And Hugh obviously knows who Rose is. And Rose asks if Kay told her or if others told her or told him about her. And Hugh says both, but the primary source of his information is coming over now. And lo and behold, it's Kior.
No, you don't see Locke.
Okay. So it's it's revealed that Hugh
Not in this book.
Hugh was who Kior was to rescue in that second trial, and that they've been friends since childhood. And Hugh seems actually really smitten with Kay and asks for another dance, which Kay happily accepts, kind of much to Rose's dismay, because she's like, I just want to hang out with my sister, stop taking her. And Kior then asks Rose to dance, and as, you know, he sweeps her across the dance floor. It's a very tension-filled dance, and Zell's like looking on like a proud parent as they dance together. And afterwards, she rushes away and runs into Benny, and she asks Benny where he disappeared to all day. And Benny just asks if they're going to talk about what happened, referring to the dance. But she's also super concerned because Kay is again swept into another dance with Hugh. And she's worried because Kay doesn't understand how the court works and that like 2 dances, it's very Bridgerton. It's very Jane Austen. 2 dances means serious intent.
Get married.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't think Kay understands that. And like, she's just having a good time. And so she's like really concerned. And, but Rose starts looking through the crowd looking for Archer, which is Jonas's father, and realizes that it's been 14 years and she doesn't know what he looks like anymore. When a shout rings out, "Murderer, Corvain, you will pay for what you've done." And then the room just descends into darkness and we end on another cliffhanger.
Way to pickle, Mary. So I read one chapter ahead because I was like, nope, we're not into there.
So we will be back next week as we cover chapters 41 through 60, which apparently we're not going to get a ton of answers, but hopefully
Look at some.
It's okay.
just not.
yeah. So we will see everybody next week for that. Bye.